Hello friends, before this video begins, I would like to mention that yesterday I released another video called How to Radicalize a VTuber, within which I discussed how an entire community had blamed the transgender community for causing Pikami to quit because she received backlash for playing Hogwarts Legacy, and I think it's my favorite video I've ever made, and also is generally, I think, really entertaining. So if you could go check that out and show some support in that video, that would mean a lot. Giving it a glance and showing your support really would help me, and it would mean that video does better, which is all I want for that video. I'm really proud of it. With that being said, let's get you back to your regularly scheduled program. Have you ever heard of the game 7 Nights at Freddy's, the fan favorite game starring such iconic characters as Bendy, Huggy Wuggy, and I don't know, it's just Freddy Fazbear, isn't it? A game so iconic and so successful that it's inspired a plethora of fan games and other games in the same vein, from good games to God, ban. And it's such a successful IP that to this day, they're still making games based on it. Throughout my time on the internet, I don't think I can think of one other game that has had the colossal impact Five Nights at Freddy's had when it first released. The way that game took social media by storm and took control of the internet zeitgeist was mind-blowing back then, and the ripples it made can still be seen in modern-day games. That's why channels talking about Five Nights at Freddy's and other games based on Five Nights at Freddy's like Theft Kings are so successful. I also wanted to quickly mention that Theft King follows me on Twitter. He probably won't after he sees this video though. With some of his videos reaching millions and millions of views talking solely about fan games, you would think Theft King is going to be a very well-established channel for a long time, and not really the face of much controversy. Or you would think if YouTube didn't plaster your homepage with videos about Theft King every single day, but I digress. It really isn't Theft King's videos that cause any problems though. He makes Five Nights at Freddy's videos, how controversial could you really get? It mostly surrounds Theft King's presence outside of his channel, when he's engaging with anyone that isn't just his audience. And when that becomes the case, it hits the fan quickly. But just for a forewarning, this situation starts a little confusing, so I'm gonna do my best to explain it to you and make it make sense. If you don't know, there is an initiative created by Scott Cawthon to make fan FNAF games into officially released products with his support. This was called the Fanverse Initiative. For quite a while, the Fanverse Initiative avoided any kind of controversy. That was until June of 2022, when information published online proved that a Discord server known as The Pair was leaking private information about fan games before they had actually released. Understandably, this was a very messy situation. Unsurprisingly, everyone in the community started to panic, worried that this Fanverse initiative was going to get scrapped entirely because of this controversy, leading to a tweet posted by PopGoes, one of the developers of one of these fan games, saying that he didn't believe the Fanverse project was going to be cancelled, but that it was possible that Scott Cawthon might stop adding games from new developers to the Fanverse initiative to avoid a situation like this occurring again. This would then inspire a video by Theft King that struck the wrong chord with pretty much everybody who saw it. A video titled The End of the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative, with the thumbnail saying Goodbye Fanverse, and a description saying that the Fanverse Initiative was probably done for. Within this video, Theft King brings up PopGoes' original tweet, and so it's pretty clear Theft King knew that he was clickbaiting people with this video, and some people took issue with that, leading to PopGoes producing a tweet saying, "For people concerned about the Fanverse being dead, don't be. It's as dead as it was when it was announced. The original Fanverse devs are more than capable of providing many years worth of great content." This thread would then slowly lead into talking about Theft King, with PopGoes bringing attention to the fact Theft King had just a few days ago done a live stream playing PopGoes' game, one of the Fanverse games, and promoting it, with PopGoes arguing that a video saying the end of the Fanverse instantly makes it seem like PopGoes' work has been a waste or an example of a failed product, which doesn't reflect well on the Fanverse's image. To no surprise, Theft King didn't really like this and immediately went to PopGoes' Discord DMs to say that he was being harassed. He would argue that PopGoes' tweet came across as if you're with us or against us, with him arguing that I support your games and projects, and when I criticize the impacts of the Fanverse, I'm not criticizing you. He would go on to say that none of the criticisms had anything to do with PopGoes, which is why he was surprised that PopGoes reacted the way he did, and that he thinks PopGoes was taking this personally when it was never meant to be that way. He would then go on to argue that his video wasn't clickbaiting, because the video was received well. I don't really know how that works. And then he claims that a lot of the hate sent his way were from people directly traceable to PopGoes' community, with him ending his sentence saying, "I'm not your enemy, I'm not your friend either. I like your games and am excited for them. I will continue to make videos covering the topics I think are interesting." In response, Popgoes would explain what his issue with Theft King was, saying, "The content of your video was fine, I never made a comment on what you said in the video itself, and in my own community I actually complimented how it was laid out and how you used my comments from the stream. I thought it was a clever idea. My only gripe was with the title and thumbnail, which gives an awful, unfair impression of the fanverse. Anyone who sees that message from a channel with as much credit as yours would assume that some kind of news has broken about the fanverse itself and how it has come to an end. My tweet also wasn't just for you or your video. It was for the dozens of people who seemed disappointed or betrayed by what I said in an earlier tweet. I'm sure you can tell by this point that I am desperate to maintain the fanverse's image. I am a voluntary spokesperson for the initiative, and I feel I have a responsibility as the most active member to clear up misinformation and keep the community happy, excited, and satisfied. You clearly don't feel this responsibility. Even though you feel you've only mirrored information I've told you, do you really think I would sum up my experiences, the end of the fanverse, in any circumstance, ever? I apologize for any harassment you may have received from my community. That is not something I have ever allowed. Tell me who is involved with that and I will cast them out of my circles. Simple as that. Otherwise, to be as blunt as possible, just get on with what you're doing." To nobody's surprise, once again, Theft King never responded to this message. But in spite of that, this situation doesn't end here. Popgoes would later make a tweet talking about how seemingly every FNAF YouTuber in the world has been making a ton of negative videos about the fanverse, using exaggerated statements like, "The fanverse is a failure, Scott has failed us, the initiative is doomed," to emphasize his point. He would also clarify in his comments which video he saw that caused him to post this tweet. And it wasn't related to Theft King at all. So, like any well-adjusted 30-year-old, you'd expect Theft King to just completely ignore this. But Theft King isn't like any well-adjusted 30-year-old. He's really immature. And so he started stirring some shit by quote retweeting Popgoes and saying, "These videos are post-mortems on an initiative, a program, an idea." Reflecting on the fanverse and some of its issues isn't an attack on Popgoes or any other fanverse dev. I worry Popgoes takes this stuff too personally. Fanverse observations aren't critiques of Popgoes. And I mean, you can see by how many quote retweets this tweet has, but it wasn't taken very well. After Theft King's tweet got him in hot water and people started clowning him again, he would then once again DM Popgoes saying he was being harassed by his fans again. He would start his DM with, "Hi Popgoes, I'm receiving a tremendous amount of hate, harassment, and threats. I assume your recent tweet was triggered in response to Sheep Rampage's new video. I don't think you would randomly tweet that about me weeks after my video on the same subject came out. I'm gonna be honest, I've been deliberately avoiding making a video that I know my audience would be super interested in. One regarding your recent statements lamenting Popgoes' sales, as well as statements lamenting the lack of support from Scott himself. I'm sure you could understand why people would be curious to watch such a video. I haven't made this video because I didn't want to deal with your community freaking out about me again. Unfortunately, your tweet has made that happen regardless, which sucks and I think that's super unfair. I of course know full well that one is not in total control of their audience, but you have done nothing to stop this or even correct the many people who don't even know that your tweet was at least prompted by Sheep Rampage's video, not one of mine. This really isn't a great message to send to someone who you have an issue with, especially after they previously tried to resolve your issue for you by asking who the people harassing him were so that they could take action and remove them from their community, and Theft King just ignored the message. And I don't really think it's fair to say Popgoes is responsible for the actions of their audience, nor to argue that they could actually do anything to stop this kind of harassment, especially when they offered to do so previously and you ignored their message. I'd say in this situation, they're no more responsible for posting their initial tweet than you are for quote retweeting it and turning the public against you. And just a word of advice, when you're trying to get help from someone, you really want to get off of your high horse. Midway through your message saying, "Oh, I've been avoiding making a video about you even though I know my audience would love it, which would look really bad for you," just makes you seem pretentious and doesn't give any kind of good impression to the person you're talking to. Theft's statement would continue to say that Popgoes is starting to piss off a ton of other content creators as well by, quote, attacking anyone who dares to talk about something that could portray the fanverse in a negative light, getting cocky and saying it's probably wise to have a better relationship with your own press, and continuing to say that he's asking Popgoes to put a stop to this now, saying if you continue to attack other creators on Twitter, where most of us don't have super large followings, they're gonna retaliate on their own platform. And I absolutely do not want anything to ever get close to that. For everyone's sake, please make a tweet asking people to leave creators alone. This isn't necessary. Theft King would then go on to make a video about this situation, in a poetically stupid move that completely contradicts his statement where he says that he doesn't ever want anything to get close to causing people to retaliate on their own platforms. I don't know why you would contradict yourself like this, but go off, King. And he would go on to record a live stream where he would lie and say Popgoes was ignoring his DMs. Theft King is the kind of person so desperate to fuel his own ego, so desperate to become the victim in any situation that he will just lie on his public platform to win an argument, and ultimately that led to an embarrassing climax to this stream.
So at this point, I had messaged him 2 weeks prior, and after he asked me to, and he didn't say anything. Now, yes, I see the check mark is not red, but that doesn't mean anything. You can see you have a pending notification.
Hello?
Oh, thank you so much, Nice Demon Queen. You can see you have a pending notification in your messages and just not ever open it. So, yeah, I know he hadn't read it, but I didn't know that he didn't know of it. I mean, I assumed, hey, Kane asked, yeah, he asked me. He asked me to do it. And so, of course, of course I'm going to reach out. He told me, yeah, reach out to me.
At this point in the story, Pop Goes makes a public response, saying, "Why are you pretending to cry on stream? We cleared this up 3 months ago." Showing DMs between him and Theft King, where he would say that he doesn't respond to Twitter DMs. This issue, Theft King is now pretending to be sad about on stream, isn't an issue at all, and he is completely cutting it out of context to spin a narrative for his audience. This then led to Pop Goes making a donation on stream, and Theft King's reaction really says everything here.
Hello?
Hey man, keep your chin up. You should check out the latest tweet by @LostPopGoes. It's important.
Are you kidding me, dude? Are you kidding? Do you really think this is the venue for this? I DM'd you. I'm begging you to speak to me. I've been begging you, and you've been ignoring me. I didn't do anything. I've been ignoring you. And now you come in private. I'm trying to resolve this in private, and then you come in my live stream and do a donation. Are you serious?
The sheer stupidity it must take to say I am trying to resolve this privately while on a live stream talking about this situation is mind-boggling to me. I don't get it.
Are you kidding me, dude? Do you know how unfair a position that is to put me in? Are you... Wow, dude. Wow. 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 Wow, dude. Okay, now you want to talk to me? You know what? Yes, because I'm so desperate for this to be over. I'm so desperate for you to stop weaponizing your audience against me over a video that Cheap Rampage made, that I'm gonna end this stream and look at this message that you said, because I'm that, even though I don't want to, because I think what you just did is up, I'm gonna do it anyway because that's how desperate I am, in the hopes that maybe this can be finally over.
I love this moment of realization that he's been caught in a lie by Pop Goes, knows that if he brings it up on stream, people will raise issue with the fact he's been lying to them, and so he just ends the stream to avoid discussing it live. Oh yeah, and he would also go on to wish that Pop Goes burned in hell. I'm not even joking.
I think King Carter is a vindictive, evil person. I'm not religious, but if there was a hell, King Carter will burn for eternity. That's straight up the kind of person I think he is. He's vindictive and likes to see people suffer. That's what his actions have proven. His actions alone have proven that.
But unfortunately for Theft King, this isn't the only drama he's found himself in. As in February of 2023, Theft King found himself getting devoured with 1,000+ quote retweets, following his discussion of Lady Fizzy, an artist for the Five Nights at Freddy's team, being removed from her job for allegations surrounding her interest in children. I'm not going to go too deep into that because I really don't want to, if I'm completely honest with you. I've been trying to avoid those subjects on the channel for a while now because they simply aren't fun to talk about. But regardless, this drama found Theft King being talked about by channels again. This would lead to a group chat being created by some of these content creators who talked about Theft King, and would inevitably lead to Theft King lying about all of them. Though this situation would actually start by Theft King being wronged by somebody. This initial flame sparking because Theft King copyright striked a video re-uploading his content, and the person he striked down then published his private email. Genuinely, I think it's that they did this to him. I think attempting to dox someone is wrong in any scenario, and I don't think there's any justifying it, so that person should go themselves. The problem is that then Theft King tries to capitalize upon this to make himself a bigger victim, in turn lying about a ton of other creators. In Theft King's video talking about how he was doxed by this person with them publicizing his private email and stealing his content, He would argue that pretty much every creator in this group chat was involved in some way and as such responsible to some extent, blasting them on his massive platform with no justified reason.
Should I send this to his personal email for trolls? Absolutely. Could scare him. They're trying to scare me. They're trying to intimidate me. Afterwards, I went out to grab some dinner, but when I got back, I found that my Discord had blown up. Several of my Discord moderators had messaged me, indicating that there was something really important they needed to talk to me about. Apparently, a private Discord group, including some FNAF content creators, had obtained my private email address. Want to hear something interesting? Sure, shoot. I posted a video the other day on my second channel of footage I stole from Theft King. It was his Atrium footage I got from Coda. The thing is, Theft struck the video down, blocked me on Twitter, and made a tweet about properly using his footage. The big detail is, if your video gets stricken down, you get the personal email of who struck you down. So there's a chance I have Theft King's personal email address. Also, he abusing the system now? Excuse me, abusing the system? The video was literally titled Footage I Stole from Theft King. It was completely unaltered. Underscore was the one abusing the system by uploading my content and saying it was other people's to use for free. I used the DMCA system as intended. There's no abuse here. The fact that this person accused me of abusing YouTube's copyright system for taking down a stolen video is just all the proof you need that these people are looking for any excuse to try to make me look bad, even if it's not true or not based in reality whatsoever. They're all full of shit.
Playing the victim this way, saying everyone in this group are full of shit and they're all trying to lie about him and attack him, is a very disingenuous way of playing the victim, tries to make everyone else in this group chat guilty by association, because one person and a few people responding to them were involved in this doxing, and blatantly mischaracterized and misrepresented some of these people. This led to some of the content creators within this chat releasing responses saying that some of what Theft King said just wasn't true and denouncing the doxing. But clearly that wasn't enough for him, as Theft King would then go on to strike one of Sleep Live, another creator in this chat's videos, even though this strike was not valid. And that's not just my opinion that it wasn't valid, that's also Theft King's, as Theft King would go on to tweet himself that he thinks the video was fair use. This really doesn't look good for him. But almost as if Theft King believed he hadn't done enough to f over Sleep Live, he made another tweet saying, "Since my video was released, I've received over 50 harassment emails, 2 of which were covered in hate symbols. So someone in that group did leak my email, presumably as revenge. I'd guess it was Sleep Live, but I can't know for sure." Just straight up spreading claims without any evidence about people because he dislikes them. Does this guy have no shame? Well, I already know the answer is no, because then he goes on to make 2 more tweets, saying, "In the last day I've received 17 new harassment emails, 2 of which, as expected, included hate symbols. This morning I received one with a photograph of my neighborhood alongside a threat to kill me." And here's the most messed up part. I believe those emails were sent by underscore, Sleep Live, etc. Without any shame in the world, he continues to go on to make false claims against people like Sleep Live and other people in the chat, as insinuated by the etc., without any care in the world for whether he's actually telling the truth. I know he's desperate to play the victim here, but this is just embarrassing. And honestly, I think after discussing such a reckless misuse of his platform, I'm kind of just done talking about this. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. As I mentioned, check out my previous Pika-Me video, my Patreon, Twitter, other social media are all linked in the description down below, and I'd appreciate any support over there. With that being said, I'll see you next time.
Says she wanna rock with a nigga like me. I'm a stylish guy. Spend a little guap with a nigga like me. We can catch a fly. Says she wanna rock with a nigga like me.